Well, good morning. And this morning, the marquee says learning to bootstrap, and the title here says learn to bookstrap. And I'm not talking about either one of those this morning. It's interesting how they, in this new format that we have, they come up with the titles and the bullet points for us, and then we get to make it up as we go along. Well, I looked in the material and I found nothing on boot or bookstrapping. So and we put these together months in advance, but I don't look at each talk until the week I'm doing it so I can centralize. Anyway, the new title of this talk is called The Glad Game. The Glad Game. And parts of this were written by Jennifer Berkeley. And again, we're following our global heart vision. And this week's theme is the global heart vision, awakening to our spiritual magnificence. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence. When we awaken to our spiritual magnificence, we wake up to the truth of who we are. It begins with one of us, and in the context of our divine connection with each other, spreads and grows. As we wake up, we nudge others awake. Our individual expression is at a time when we learn to become conscious in our lives and aware of our divine nature. And as it is realized, it is materialized. So this teaching has been called Pollyanna-ish, or white cloud or pink cloud metaphysics, meaning, you're always thinking about, the good things. You're always trying to think, when something challenges happens to you, you always, just go right for the positive, negating the negative. And I say, yeah, absolutely. Because playing in the negative, which I did for several years in my life, got me more negative. I realized that I was comfortable and complacent in the negativity. And I almost felt if something bad wasn't going on, that I wasn't comfortable, because I had gotten so used to the challenge that I forgot what it was like to have the good in my life. And you see this in abusive relationships where people stay in the relationship, or situations where they say, well, at least I know this situation, or at least I can handle this. It's comfortable for me in my uncomfortableness. It might be worse if I get something else or do something else. You see us arguing for our limitations. And I argued hard, and somebody put positiveness before me, and I argued long and hard about why I should not change. No. I'm not going to change. Is too radical. I want everything to be different, but I don't want change. Isn't that how we are? We say, I want something new, but don't change anything. It's like, we're on that teeter-totter. It's like the people that during the winter talk about how cold it is. And the minute it gets like, the last couple days have been so beautiful. They're like, the heat's coming though. It's like, why can't we just enjoy what is and be in the present moment? See, we're always living out there somewhere we better prepare for the worst, because I know it's nice now, but that means that something bad is coming. And that's not the truth. Well, the Glad Game, using the story of Pollyanna, demonstrates how we can awaken to our own magnificence. And I had heard the term Pollyanna-ish, isms, but I never really knew the full story. And I just want to briefly give you an overview of the story. You may not know it. You may know it, and this will bring it to your consciousness once again. But the title character is named Pollyanna Whittier, a young orphan who goes to live in Vermont with her wealthy but stern and cold spinster Aunt Polly, who does not want to take in Pollyanna, but feels it is her duty to her late sister. Pollyanna's philosophy of life centers on what she calls the glad game, an optimistic attitude she learned from her father. The game consists of finding something to be glad about in every situation. It originated in an incident one Christmas when Pollyanna was hoping for a doll in a missionary barrel and found only a pair of crutches inside. Making up the game on the spot, Pollyanna's father taught her to look at the good side of things, and in this case, to be glad that the crutches, because we didn't need to use them. Interesting foresight about the crutches. Keep that in mind. With this philosophy and her own sunny personality and sincere, sympathetic soul, Pollyanna brings so much gladness to her aunt's dispirited New England town that she transforms it into a pleasant place to live. The glad game shields her from her aunt's stern attitude. When Aunt Polly puts her in the stuffy attic room without carpets or pictures, she looks out the window at the beautiful view and enjoys that instead of the pictures. When she tries to punish her for being late to dinner by sentencing her to a meal of bread and milk in the kitchen with the servant Nancy, Pollyanna thanks her profusely because she likes bread and milk and likes Nancy the servant. Soon Pollyanna teaches some of the town's most troubled inhabitants to play the glad game. From a quarrelsome invalid named Mrs. Snow to a miserable bachelor named Mr. Pendleton, who lives all alone in a cluttered mansion. Aunt Polly, too, finds herself helpless before Pollyanna's buoyant refusal to be downcast, gradually begins to thaw, and although she resists the game altogether, she starts to play it nonetheless. Eventually, however, even Pollyanna's robust optimism is put to the test when she is struck by an automobile and loses the use of her legs. At first, she doesn't realize the seriousness of her situation, but her spirit plummets when she is told what happened to her. After that, she lies in bed, unable to find anything to be glad about. And then the townspeople begin to call at Aunt Polly's house, eager to let Pollyanna know how much her encouragement has improved their lives. And Pollyanna decides that she can still be glad that she at least has her legs. The novel ends with Aunt Polly, marrying her former lover, Dr. Chilton, and Pollyanna gets sent to a hospital where she learns to walk again and is able to appreciate the use of her legs far more now as a result of the temporary disability. And now she is able to walk. When we look for the good in life, your life will be good. So how many of us have played both sides, where when something went wrong, we went, well, they always come in threes. Let's look out for the other two. When's the other shoe going to drop? Or when something good is going right and you're on a roll with it and going, when was the last time you said, oh, I can't wait for the next two great things to happen? Because great things always come in threes. Actually, they come in the multitude because they're always happening. We're just not always aware of it. It's in the consciousness that you're at and the level of your awareness to what you decide it is or not. There's an old Chinese saying about the man who has a farm, and a herd of horses, wild horses, come and start eating the grass around his farm. And they get into one of the corrals. They're actually now corralled in his farm. And the neighbor says, oh, good luck. Look, you have free wild horses. And the man says, good luck, bad luck, I don't know. The God will show. Well, his son loves horses and decides to go and to break one of the horses, to put a saddle on it and to try to ride it. And he succeeds. But in the process, gets bucked off and breaks his leg. The neighbor, oh, bad luck. Your son broke his leg from one of the horses. And the farmer says, good luck, bad luck, I don't know. I'm going to let God decide. Well, it was at that point that the Chinese army came to take every able-bodied son to war. But his son couldn't go because he had a broken leg. Neighbor, oh, good luck, your son has a broken leg. He can't go to war. And of course, the farmer, good luck, bad luck, I'll let God decide. It's what human beings mean for harm, God always means for good. The infinite will always turn it into a positive. We just have to follow the storyline further down. If we took a snapshot of when the son broke his leg and stopped the story there, you'd say that's a terrible story, he broke his leg. But that's not the end of the story. And there are no ends to our life. Maybe in this body, but we continue, if you believe in that sort of thing, and we weren't, we didn't just get dropped into these bodies willy-nilly. There's some very high consciousness babies out there. You know what I'm saying? They get born into these hospitals and with all these people around, all their loved ones. Think about it. So, well, as a result of the novel's success, new terms were coined: Pollyanna-ish, Pollyanna-isms, and it really is how we decide it's going to be. Is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? What humans mean for challenge, God means for good. But we just need to continue looking. So I want you to take a second and think about a challenge in your life that you may have had, and look where it took you. Did it just stop in the challenge, or did it transfer into something beyond your wildest expectation? I know that when I particularly walked through a challenging relationship situation that I thought was the end of my life, was just the beginning of a whole new life that I was not aware of existed for me. But I had to walk through that valley of the shadow and see the darkness. But if I had stopped there in the valley, it could have ended very dark. But I continued to walk and to look for the light. We have to look for the light. If you look for the challenge, you will find it. If you continue to look for more challenge, absolutely you will find it. It's when we get to the point when we say, you know, my pity party is getting old. At what point does your pity party get too old? And you've told the story so many times that nobody wants to hear it. You don't even want to hear it anymore. And you start telling a new story. And do you have the power to do that? Some people get caught in their negativity to the point where that's what they attract and that's where they want to play because it's comfortable for them. Every reaction is an opportunity to cultivate a pearl, a beautiful truth that will illuminate the way forward. Pay attention to your reactions. What are you cultivating? And just another small story before I end about when I was doing the Asilomar conference and my keynote speaker called me the day that she was supposed to speak and told me that she could only stand up for 15 minutes at a time. And I was, at first, you know, that instant when somebody says something's not going to go the way you want it, you go, oh no. And I immediately went into prayer. And I started to feel really good about it because I knew something great was going to come out of it. And it was because I had that attitude that I looked for something great to fill the space. I got my committee together, my board, in that moment, and we prayed. And we were so jovial about what the expectation was going to be that the call came in that Wayne Dyer would speak for us for free. And it was that attitude that attracted that energy of something wonderful happening. And if I'd have gone into, isn't it awful, how are we going to, what's going to happen, how much worse can it get? You ever said that? How much worse can it get? Well, the law will show you if you have that attitude. And the question is, how much better can it get? It can always get better. Well, maybe you want to start a gratitude journal to remind yourself of how many goodies you get. Because we forget them. You know, we sometimes, and for some reason, my personal human condition used to default to the negative. I would, you think that's bad? Oh, you should see the scar I got from when I fell down. That's nothing. That's nothing. But when we can say, you know what? I know that there is something else that I don't see in this. The pearl of wisdom. You know what a pearl is, right? It's that little clam that got a bunch of sand in it. And the sand is aggravating to that clam, oyster, clam. But it pushes it together in such a way that this wonderful pearl is created. Now, we have the same in our lives. We can look at the challenge and look at it as a negative, and it will do that for us. But we can look at it as a pearl of wisdom. And what message does that have for you? When you can ask your challenge, what is the message here? What are you trying to tell me? Watch what gifts come forward. Well, I want to share with you something that Marianne Williamson wrote called Our Greatest Fear. I thought it went appropriately with today's talk. And I've made a couple copies of this that are on the back table. And I urge you to take a copy and put it on your refrigerator or somewhere where you'll see it. I know that I have had a copy on my refrigerator for years, and it's just one of those things that while you're pouring your milk on your cereal in the morning or whatever, that you see it. And it says this: it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that's from Marianne Williamson. And so it is.